transmigrated into the world of the son of the goddess of life and the god king of destruction. With the ancient tree of life in your left hand and the scepter of destruction in your right, your path is defined by the dual cultivation of life and destruction. At this moment, within the palace of life in the god realm, you are resting beneath the ancient tree of life. The doors to the grand hall are pushed open before Tang Wutong even steps inside. Her voice already reaches your ears. Changsheng, I've come again. You open your eyes and look at the girl walking towards you. In the entire god realm, there are few who can enter the life palace without prior announcement. Tang Wutong is one of them. She runs all the way up to you. You sit up and ask with a touch of helplessness. Tong, why have you come again? Tang Wutong pouts her little lips, dissatisfied. What do you mean? Why have I come again? Are you not welcoming me? You sighed and said, it's not that I don't welcome you. It's just that there's nothing fun to do when you come to see me. Tang Wutong sat down beside you, lowering her voice as she spoke. I know a place that's bound to be fun. You looked at her, frowning slightly. Is that for real? What kind of fun place could you possibly know of? Except for the Forbidden Land where the Golden Dragon King is imprisoned in the God realm. You have all been to every other place. You immediately probed. You aren't thinking of going to the God Forbidden Land, are you? That place is off limits. My parents told me that is where the Golden Dragon King is sealed. Even they wouldn't dare approach it lightly. Tang Wutong shook her head and said, of course not. I've always heard Mom and Dad talk about a place called the Douluo continent. I hear there are so many fascinating things there. Why don't we go to the Douluo continent for a visit? It must be much more fun than the God realm. You froze for a moment. The Douluo continent is a lower plane under the jurisdiction of the God realm. It is also the hometown of Tang San before he ascended. More importantly, you are a transmigrator. You know very well that the current Douluo continent is far from peaceful. Tang Wutong nodded excitedly. I heard from Father that there are vast continents there, endless oceans, all kinds of soul beasts, and kingdoms and sects established by mankind. It's not like the God realm, where you just go back and forth between the same few places. I'm bored to death here. You frowned and asked, but we descended to the mortal realm without permission. Won't our elders find out? Tang Wutong patted her chest. What is there to fear? My father is currently the sea god and the Asura god. They are usually so busy. How would they have time to keep track of me? Besides, aren't your parents also god kings? The God Realm Commission has so many matters to attend to every day. Let's just sneak down for a few days of fun. They surely won't be able to discover it. You still didn't agree immediately. That may be true. But after all, the Douluo continent is a lower realm. The energy level there is different from our God realm. What if something goes wrong? The Holy Spirit cult, the Sun Moon Empire, and other hidden troubles. Tang Wutong doesn't know about these, but you do. Tang Wutong cut you off directly. What could possibly go wrong? We are, after all, the descendants of the God King. Even if we descend to the lower realms, we would still be among the pinnacle of existence. Besides, my mother and father originally ascended from the Douluo continent. That is their homeland. What kind of danger could there be? He tugged at your sleeve, and with a gentle shake, he continued, Changsheng, just come with me, please. It's so boring to go all by myself. Besides, if I get caught, having you there would help me share the blame. You look at him, and it immediately dawns on you. So that's what you were planning all along, to make me your scapegoat? Tang Wutong blushes. That's not it at all. I just feel that if we go together, it would definitely be much more fun. Just think about it. The Douluo continent is so vast. We could explore every corner of it. Who knows, we might even stumble upon some fascinating adventures. To be honest, you must be tired of life in the God realm as well. You fall silent for a moment before saying, do you really want to go? Tang Wutong nods vigorously and says, I really do. You take a deep breath. All right then, but we must agree on 3 conditions. First, you cannot cause too much trouble. Second, you must listen to me. Third, Tang Wutong asked eagerly. What is the third one? You look at her. The third is that you must go back and tell your parents. Tang Wutong was stunned. She stared at you for a long time. He reached out and touched your forehead. Then he touched his own forehead. With a look of utter bewilderment, he asked, you don't have a fever. Why are you talking nonsense? Just as you were about to explain, Tang Wutong had already spoken up first. Changsheng, have you forgotten? We snuck down there secretly. If we were to tell them, wouldn't that expose us? You rubbed your temples. Wutong, do you really think with our meager abilities, even if we say nothing, they wouldn't already know? Don't forget, they are God kings after all. Every blade of grass and every tree in the God realm is within their perception. Not to mention, we are but two children of the God kings. Do you really think that by sneaking out, they wouldn't notice a thing? Even if we set that aside, suppose they truly had no idea where we went. Wouldn't they go absolutely mad with worry when they start searching for us? Not only will the entire God realm be turned upside down, but the mortal realms won't be spared either. With such chaos and upheaval everywhere, do you honestly think we'll be let off the hook when we return? Tang Wutong's expression shifted. Then what should we do? Are we just not going? You smiled and said, who said we aren't going? What I mean is, instead of sneaking around, we might as well go openly and above board. And most importantly, we can take this opportunity to ask them for some life-saving measures. Understand, Tang Wutong tilted her head, asking in confusion, what kind of life-saving measures? You explained patiently. Once we descend, we'll be in an unfamiliar land. Although the Douluo continent was your father's homeland, that was a very long time ago. What the current Douluo continent is like, how many powerhouses it holds, or if there are any hidden dangers, we know absolutely nothing about. If I don't have some trump cards to save my life, what if I end up capsizing in a gutter? Tang Wutong nodded, then frowned again. But will my father give them to me? He always says I need to train and grow on my own, and shouldn't always rely on external forces. You smiled and added, that is a matter for your father to decide. In any case, if your father won't give them to you, that doesn't mean my parents wouldn't give it to me. You know very well how much the goddess of life and the god of destruction dote on you. As long as you ask, an ordinary divine artifact wouldn't be a problem at all. As for Tang San, that's a different story. Tang Wutong bit her lip. Your parents. You said matter-of-factly, that's right. If I were to leave, they would be more than happy for me to take the entire. It would be best to bring along all the treasures of the God realm. I'll ask for a few more pieces when the time comes. I suppose I could spare one or two for you. Tang Wutong's eyes lit up. Really? You smiled. Of course, really. But the condition is that you must agree to my plan, which is that we first go find our respective parents, tell them we are going to the Douluo continent for training, and incidentally ask for some items to protect our lives. Hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Fine, I'll do as you say. But are you really sure your parents will agree? You said with an air of complete indifference. My parents shouldn't be a problem. But you, on the other hand, might be a different story. Grew anxious. She grabbed your arm. Then what should I do? You must promise not to leave me behind. You gave a faint smile. Why don't you go and ask him first? What if your father actually agrees? You know that even without you, Tang Wutong would eventually descend to the mortal realm because the Douluo continent holds the people and things Tang San desires. After a moment of thought, Tang Wutong could only nod. Fine, then I'll go. He rose and departed from the Palace of Life. You closed your eyes once more, waiting for the Goddess of Life to return. A moment later, the gates of the Palace of Life opened once again. The Goddess of Life walked in. She hurried to the foot of the ancient tree of life. Bending down, she scooped you up into her arms. My little Changsheng. Mommy has missed you so much. You were held so tightly that you couldn't catch your breath. Your struggles were all in vain. The goddess of life and the god of destruction had waited for such a long time to finally have a child like you. Naturally, she couldn't be more precious. You reach out and push her face away. With a look of utter helplessness, you say, Mom, that's enough, don't you think? If my calculations are correct, you should be at the office right now. How did you get back so soon? The goddess of life replies with a beaming smile. Isn't your father still there? I left him to handle it. You were momentarily speechless. The entire god realm knows that the god of destruction is overbearing and formidable outside. Yet, he becomes completely docile in front of the goddess of life. The goddess of life suddenly asked, did little Wutong come to see you just now? You were stunned for a moment. How did you know? The goddess of life set you down. She sat across from you and chuckled softly. I happened to pass by the sea god's palace just now, hearing Tang San's angry outburst, along with the voice of little Wutong, saying, I don't care what you say. If you don't give it to me, I'm going to stay with Auntie Green. And I'll even ask Uncle Z to be my godfather. Hearing this, you could barely keep a straight face. Tang Wutong really dared to twist the knife in Tang San's heart. After all, in the entire god realm, who doesn't know that god of destruction have always been at odds? You rubbed your forehead in exasperation. The journey to the Douluo continent hadn't even begun yet, and the air was already thick with the scent of gunpowder. Inside the sea god's palace, Tang San looked at Tang Wutong before him, his divine power surging with fury. Yet, Tang Wutong showed no fear at all. With one hand on her hip, she tilted her little head up and pointed her right hand straight ahead. The message is crystal clear. Hand over the goods at once. I'm not leaving until I get them. As both the sea god and the Asura god, Tang Xin has always been a formidable force in the god realm. He was being held by his own 7 or 8-year-old daughter. What's even more disastrous is that Tang Wutong even threatened to call the god of destruction her godfather. If word of this were to get out, where does that leave Tang Son's dignity? Tang Xin gritted his teeth and spoke. You rebellious daughter. Do you even realize what you are saying? Tang Wutong did not back down in the slightest. Of course I do. I just want to go to the Douluo continent for some fun. Are you going to give me something to protect my life? If you don't, I'm heading to the Life Palace to find Aunt Yue right now. I'll ask her to adopt me as her goddaughter. Besides, Uncle Z is quite fond of me anyway. Tang Xin was so enraged that his Asura divine power began to overflow. The temperature within the sea god's palace plummeted. Just as he was about to erupt, Ziwu reached out and held him back from behind. Ziwu sighed helplessly and persuaded him. Forget it. Just let it go. Really, Brother Sin? Why are you getting so worked up over a child? Tang Xin said furiously. Did you not hear what this rebellious daughter just said? She wants to run off and become the goddaughter of that destroyer fellow. Who in the entire god realm doesn't know? That destroyer is constantly at odds with me. If this matter were to truly come to pass, how would others look at me? Ziwu said softly. Then just give her to him, why don't you? It's not as if it's such a big deal. You have so many divine artifacts. Wouldn't it be fine to just give me 1 or 2? Tang Xin was momentarily speechless. Tang Wutong let out a soft huff. Fine, don't give me any, you stingy man. If only I were like Changsheng, and could be the child of Uncle Z and Aunt Lu. Aunt Lu treats Changsheng so well. Whatever he asks for, unlike some people. Having said that, he turned and walked away. Tang Xin stood rooted to the spot, throwing a few punches into the air in a fit of rage. Rebellious child, truly a rebellious child. Ziwu quickly grabbed him. All right. He's still just a child. After all, don't lower yourself to his level. It's just that I don't understand. Why on earth would he suddenly thinking of heading off to the Douluo continent for a little fun? Everyone else would give their lives just to reach. And yet, little Wutong actually wants to leave. Tang Xin said with a cold, stern expression. What else could it be? It must be Li Changsheng who has been a bad influence on Wutong. I told you we shouldn't have let those two spend so much time together. Look at what that rebellious daughter has turned into. Though Tang Xin spoke with such harsh words, his fury gradually began to subside. After all, she is the daughter he raised in the palm of his hand. No matter how angry he gets, he could never truly lay a hand on her. But the fact that she acknowledged the god of destruction as her godfather is something he cannot tolerate. Tang Xin took a deep breath. His mind was already made up. When Tang Wutong comes again next time, he must let her know what a father's love as heavy as a mountain truly means. Not a father's love as deep as an abyss. When Tang Wutong arrived at the Life Palace once more, her eyes were still slightly red. She sat on the soft couch beneath the ancient tree of life. Her legs dangled, swaying back and forth. Her small hands clutched at the hem of her skirt. She looked as though she had been deeply wronged. The god of destruction strode into the palace of life. Upon seeing Tang Wutong in such a state, his gaze softened instantly. Little Wutong, what has happened to you? The moment Tang Wutong caught sight of the god of destruction, it was as if she had found her protector. Tears streamed down her face instantly. She leapt off the couch and ran straight to the god of destruction. Looking up with her little face, she accused him. Uncle Z, my daddy is bullying me. I had good intentions when I went to discuss something with him. It would be one thing if he didn't agree. But he even tried to hit me. The god of destruction crouched down to wipe the tears from her face and asked in a gentle tone, what happened? Take your time and tell me. Uncle Z will stand up for you. Tang Wutong sobbed as she finished recounting the events. She didn't forget to add, I just wanted to ask him for some life-saving measures. It's not like I was asking for his god position. But instead of giving me anything, he even scolded me. What kind of father acts like that in this world? Aunt Yu is so kind to Changsheng. Whatever I ask for, but my father, on the other hand, he's such a stingy miser. The god of destruction fell silent for a moment after hearing this. He truly couldn't grasp the logic behind this. The god of destruction pondered and asked, Little Wutong, why on earth would you need life-saving measures? Your father is a god king in the entire divine realm. Who would dare to lay a finger on you? Tang Wutong blinked her eyes and replied matter-of-factly, just because there aren't doesn't mean there aren't any in the lower realms. The god of destruction was stunned, asking in confusion, the mortal realm. Everything is fine here in the god realm. Why would he run off to the mortal realm? Not far away, You and the goddess of life walk over side by side. You speak up directly because he wants to go to the Douluo continent to play. Upon hearing this, the god of destruction finally understood. He frowned and asked, why on earth would he go to the Douluo continent to play? Is the god realm not fun enough? Tang Wutong nodded vigorously. We've already played through everything. The divine realm is only so big. Changsheng and I have already explored every corner of it. There really isn't anything new left to see. That's why I came to find Changsheng, to have him accompany me. The god of destruction looked at you and asked, did you agree? You nodded, said with a solemn expression. What Wutong said is indeed correct. The divine realm is far too dull. Why not descend to the mortal world and have a look? Besides, we can take this opportunity to grow rapidly, so that in the future, we may inherit your god positions and share some of the burden for you both. The god of destruction and the goddess of life exchanged glances. A look of satisfaction appeared in both their eyes simultaneously. Now that you've said this, how could they bear to come now? The god of destruction waved his hand with a grand gesture. Black light surged within his palm. In the next moment, a pitch-black scepter, exuding an aura of destruction, appeared in his hand. It was none other than the scepter of destruction. The god of destruction thrust the scepter of destruction forward. Take this, child. The mortal realm is not like the divine realm. Although you are protected by the bloodline of your mother and me, you will inevitably encounter some short-sighted scoundrels. This scepter has been with me for many years. It contains a wisp of my divine origin power. It can save your life at a critical moment, before you could even utter a word. The goddess of life stepped forward as well. Green light swirled within her palm, and a palm-sized, emerald green ancient tree manifested in the air. That was the ancient tree of life, with the scepter of destruction gripped in your left hand, and the ancient tree of life cradled in your right. Your entire being was enveloped in a divine radiance of purple and green. Tang Wutong stood by, her eyes reddening at the sight. She looked at the scepter of destruction in your hand, then at the ancient tree of life, and finally thought of Tang San's attitude. Her composure completely shattered. Tang Wutong rushed before the goddess of life, clutched her legs, and looked up, saying, Auntie you, let me be your goddaughter, please. My dad is just too stingy. He won't give me anything at all. Look at Changsheng. He has the scepter of destruction and the ancient tree of life. I have nothing at all. The goddess of life couldn't help but smile helplessly. She leaned down, stroked Tang Wutong's hair, and said with a laugh, Silly child, your father is doing this for your own good. Tang Wutong pouted and retorted, He's not doing it for my own good. He's just being stingy. The god of destruction could no longer stand by and watch. He strode forward, ruffled Tang Wutong's hair, and said in a booming voice, Come, follow Uncle Destruction. I will take you to find your father. To deny you everything like this. What kind of father is he? Today, Uncle Destruction shall demand justice for you. Tang Wutong's eyes lit up. Indeed, indeed, Uncle Z is still the best. He immediately released the goddess of life. Following behind the god of destruction, he headed toward the sea god's hall. Watching the two, one large and one small, you couldn't help but shake your head. I fear the sea god's hall will be quite lively today. By the time you and the goddess of life arrived outside the sea god's hall, an argument had already broken out inside. The god of destruction's voice was deep and resonant. Your tone is dripping with sarcasm. Tang-san, what exactly are you trying to pull here? Little Wutong is your own flesh and blood, after all. How can you, as a father, be so stingy? Just look at you, the dignified sea god and Asura god, holding dual god positions, with more divine artifacts and treasures than one can count. Yet you refuse to give your own daughter a few life-saving items. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Tang-san retorted furiously, Destruction. Stop pointing fingers and meddling here. I am disciplining my own daughter. What business is it of yours? The god of destruction snapped back immediately. How is it not my business? I watched little Wutong grow up with my own eyes. She is no different from my own daughter. If you truly do not want this daughter, then fine. Just adopt her over to me and let's just adopt Ziyu as our goddaughter. We've grown quite fond of her anyway. You and the goddess of life were standing outside the hall and froze upon hearing this. What was even more absurd was that Tang Wutong was standing beside the god of destruction, nodding vigorously, her face full of approval. The goddess of life rubbed her forehead in exasperation. And you felt a little embarrassed yourself, never expecting Tang Wutong to make such a scene. You bear some responsibility for this as well. Inside the great hall, Tang-san saw his daughter, standing with the god of destruction, pressuring him. His expression shifted instantly. Tang-san roared, Destruction! Shut your mouth! If you dare spout such nonsense again, don't blame me for settling this with you once and for all today. Tang Wutang stood with her hands on her hips and retorted righteously, "Old man, Uncle Zisho has already bestowed treasures of longevity upon him. We certainly cannot lose face. You wouldn't want the god realm to whisper that the sea god is inferior to the god of destruction, would you?" Tang San's fury faltered for a fleeting moment. He had grasped the crux of the matter. Tang Sen asked in a deep, resonant voice, "Wait, what do you mean by destruction giving Li Changxing treasures?" Tang Sen turned his gaze sharply toward the god of destruction and demanded, "Destruction? Why are you bestowing treasures upon your own child?" The god of destruction sneered. "Isn't that just stating the obvious? Do you take me for a miser like you?" Once they descend to the mortal realm, strangers in a strange land, they are bound to encounter troubles of all sizes. If they were to suffer even the slightest injury, let alone little Green's reaction, my own heart would ache to death. Tang San's brow furrowed even deeper. "What I mean is your Changxing also heading down there?" The god of destruction was stunned and asked, "What? My Changxing is going down there too. Did Wutang not tell you?" Tang Sen shook his head and said, "No, he didn't. He only told me he wanted to go to the Douluo continent for some fun and asked me for a few treasures to protect himself from start to finish. He didn't mention a single word about your Li Changxing also going there." A sudden silence fell over the grand hall. Tang Sen and the god of destruction turned their heads in unison to look at Tang Wutang. The smile on Tang Wutang's face froze. Sensing that something was amiss, she turned to flee. The god of destruction reached out his large hand, grabbing her directly by the back of her collar, and hoisted her into the air, with her feet dangling off the ground. Tang Wutang kicked wildly in the air. The god of destruction remarked with a profound expression, "Little Wutang, you are being a bit dishonest, aren't you?" Tang Wutang replied with an awkward chuckle, "Uncle Z, I just didn't think it through at the moment." The god of destruction raised an eyebrow. "Didn't think it through? More like you didn't expect to let it slip, right? Knowing she was in the wrong." Tang Wutang dared not say another word. The god of destruction did not make things difficult for her. He casually set her down. The moment Tang Wutang landed on the ground, she immediately dashed out of the main hall and hid behind the goddess of life. The goddess of life looked down at her, finding her both exasperating and amusing. The goddess of life patted Tang Wutang on the head and said softly, all right, don't be afraid. Auntie Green is here for you. No one would dare lay a hand on you." Only then did Tang Wutang feel a slight sense of relief. Yet, she still clutched the hem of the goddess of life's gown, refusing to let go. Tang Sen looked at his daughter hiding behind the goddess of life. In the end, he could only let out a sigh. His has indeed been spoiled rotten. But since you intend to descend as well, things have actually become much easier compared to the so-called child of destiny. The child of two god kings is the one truly worth betting on. As long as Tang Wutang is bound to you, the Tang family can thereby link themselves completely to the two god kings, life and destruction. Tang Sen has calculated this trade-off very clearly. He cannot give her the divine tool. If Tang Wutang possessed a divine tool, she would only charge ahead on her own after descending to the mortal realm, and would never rely on you at all. Only by making her depend on you when trouble arises will the relationship between you to truly warm up. So people may descend. Life-saving artifacts are strictly prohibited. The dispute before the sea god's hall gradually subsided. Tang Sen withdrew his anger. He regained his composure. He looked at Tang Wutang, who was hiding behind the goddess of life. In a calm tone, he said, "Tang Wutang, are you not coming over yet? What is the meaning of hiding behind the goddess of life? Do you really think your father would devour you?" Tang Wutang shrank her neck back. She muttered in a low voice, "That's not necessarily true. Who knows if the old man will settle scores later." The goddess of life couldn't help but chuckle. She stroked Tang Wutang's hair gently, soothing her softly, "Silly girl. Go on over now. Your father is a dignified god king, a man of his word. I always keep my word. I would never vent my anger on you." Tang Wutang still clutched at the hem of the goddess of life's robe, afraid to approach. Seeing this, Tang Sen brought up the matter she cared about most. "Why are you hiding and refusing to come over? Do you not intend to go to the Douluo continent?" Tang Wutang's eyes lit up. She immediately let go of the goddess of life. She hurried over to Tang Sen. Looking at his daughter's face filled with anticipation, Tang Sen found the scolding he had prepared stuck in his throat. The goddess of life and the god of destruction exchanged a glance with you. Not lingering any longer, they turned and left, leaving the sea god's hall to the father and daughter. Once the outsiders had departed, Tang Sen looked at Tang Wutang and asked in a deep voice, "Are you truly determined to venture into the Douluo continent for training?" Tang Wutang nodded vigorously. Yes, I have long wished to see the lower realm for myself. I've grown weary of the god realm. The lower realm must be incredibly fascinating. Father, you promised me, haven't you? You wouldn't deceive me, would you? You won't go back on your word and forbid me from going later. Tang Sen replied with a feigned gentleness. When has your father ever lied to you? Do you take your father for a man who breaks his word? Tang Wutong pondered this seriously. She nodded with absolute sincerity. Tang San's face darkened instantly. The God King's pressure he had just suppressed nearly surged forth again. Yet, the one who said this was his own daughter. He had no choice but to endure it. Tang Sen decided not to dwell on this topic any longer. He asked directly, "Then tell your father. What is your opinion of Li Changsheng?" This is what Tang Sen truly cares about. The god of destruction and the goddess of life dote on Tang Wutong, even willing to take her as their goddaughter. This shows that they are not opposed to this connection. Now, as long as Tang Wutong has feelings for you, this matter can continue to progress. Tang Wutong tilted her head and said earnestly, "Changsheng is wonderful. He is both gentle and formidable. He never bullies me. He always keeps me company whenever I'm bored. Uncle C and Auntie Lu dote on him immensely as well. He is my best friend in the god realm." Tang Sen understood everything after hearing this. The affection is already there. Now all that's left is to have you two train together in the mortal realm and face dangers side by side, solving the trouble together. Our relationship will naturally change. Tang Wutong looked at the smile on Tang Son's face and couldn't help but ask, "Dad, what are you thinking about? Your smile is so terrifying." Tang Sen regained his composure and gave a light cough. "It's nothing. Since you wish to go to the Douluo continent, then Dad won't hold you back. However, you must promise Dad one thing." Tang Wutong asked curiously. Tang Sen bent down, asking what it was. He leaned in close to his daughter's ear and whispered, "Once you arrive on the Douluo continent, spend more time with Li Changsheng. Cultivate your relationship with him. It would be best if you could make him unable to live without you." Tang Wutong blinked her eyes. Although she didn't quite understand, she nodded anyway. "I understand." Tang Sen patted her head with satisfaction. "Good girl. That's my good daughter. All right, you may descend to the mortal realm now." Tang Wutong was momentarily stunned. She immediately realized and said, "Father, you haven't given me any means of protection yet." Tang Sen waved his hand dismissively, saying indifferently, "Why would you need any means of protection once you descend to the mortal realm with Changsheng by your side? Do you truly believe you would still be in danger? Besides, your descent is meant for cultivation. If you were to rely on the help of us elders for everything, what purpose would this trial even serve?" Tang Wutong pondered for a moment and surprisingly found his words reasonable. Indeed, 3 days later, at the entrance of the passage connecting the god realm to the Douluo continent, spatial ripples began to undulate. A silver vortex slowly takes shape. The goddess of life and the god of destruction arrive first, bringing you along. Shortly after, Tang Sen and Ziwu approach with Tang Wutong. Both parties meet at the entrance of the passage. The god of destruction is the first to ask Tang Sen, "Have you made all the necessary arrangements for the lower realm?" Tang Sen replies with a calm expression, "Rest assured, those 2 soul beasts that sacrificed themselves for me back then are currently in the lower realm. Their current strength down in the mortal realm is truly second to none. So, as far as safety is concerned, you need not worry at all." Hearing this, the god of destruction nodded. No matter how calculating Tang Sen may be, he would never dare to be reckless with your safety or that of Tang Wutong. After all, the weight you carry in the hearts of the goddess of life and the god of destruction is known to the entire god realm. The goddess of life crouched down to adjust your collar. She whispered softly, "Remember, you have no other purpose in the mortal realm. There are only 2 things to do. That is to gain experience and to have fun." You nodded obediently and replied, "I understand." The goddess of life then shifted her tone, lowering her voice as she said, "And the most important point of all, that is, if you happen to come across a beautiful maiden, remember to bring her back as your bride." Hearing this, you are stunned, coming from the lips of the goddess of life. These words carry quite an impact. The god of destruction leans in and pats your shoulder, nodding with a solemn expression. "Your mother is right. Strength is of little importance, for in the end, you are destined to inherit our divine positions anyway. So remember to bring back a few more women when you descend to the lower realm. After all, your mother and I are most fond of children." You are left completely speechless. What kind of parents would emphasize this before sending their child down to the mortal world for training? Not far away, Tang Sen urged impatiently, "Destruction, life, are you two ready yet?" The goddess of life and the god of destruction stood up in unison and replied, "We're ready." The goddess of life then ruffled your hair once more. "I asked you, did you remember? You haven't answered me yet." Tang Wadong had already leaned in close. She blinked her eyes and asked curiously, "What are you two talking about? What is it that you need to remember?" The goddess of life and the god of destruction exchanged a glance. They shared a knowing smile. "It's nothing. We were just telling you to go down to the mortal realm and have a good time." Tang Wadong immediately beamed with joy. He stopped asking questions. He reached out and grabbed your right hand directly. Interlocking his fingers with yours, he pulled you toward the passageway. As he dragged you forward, you glanced back at your parents. The goddess of life waved at you. Her eyes filled with reluctance, yet brimming with encouragement. The god of destruction stood with his arms crossed, nodded at you. Tang Sen stood not far away, watching Tang Wadong holding your hand. A faint smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. Seeing Tang San's expression, Ziwu asked in a low voice, "Brother San, what mischief are you plotting again?" Tang Sen immediately retorted, "What do you mean by mischief? I am simply looking out for our daughter's lifelong happiness." At the entrance of the passage, Tang Wadong has already pulled you to the edge of the silver vortex. She turns back and calls out, "Mom and Dad, Auntie Green, Uncle Z, we are leaving now." As her voice faded, Tang Wadong pulls you and leaps forward, plunging directly into the passage leading to the Douluo continent. The two figures are swallowed by the silver light. Inside the main assembly hall of the Clear Sky sect on Douluo planet, the Titan Giant Ape and the Sky Azure Bull Python are waiting for someone. The Titan Giant Ape speaks first. "Big brother, I heard from Tang Sen that it's not just little Wadong who has descended this time. There is someone else with her. Do you know who it is?" The Sky Azure Bull Python shakes his head and says, "I don't know." Tang Sen didn't say. He only mentioned that this person's background is very... The tall Titan Giant frowned. Their background must be formidable. Tang Sen is the sea god and Asura god combined. A true god king level existence. For someone to be described by him as having a formidable background, they likely have a deity standing behind them as well. The Titan Giant Ape speculated, could they be the descendant of another god king? The Azure Bull Python nodded and said, "It's possible, but as for who exactly it is, we shall know once they arrive." No sooner had he finished, a beam of light descended from the sky above the Clear Sky landing right before the main hall. As the radiance slowly dissipated, it was revealed that only Tang Wadong had arrived. The Azure Bull Python stepped forward and asked, "Wadong, didn't your father say there was one more person? Where did he go? Could it be that he turned back halfway? Did he decide he didn't want to leave the god realm after all?" Tang Wadong's expression turned sour. Clutching the hem of her skirt, she stamped her foot in frustration and said, "That guy just dumped me here and went off to have fun somewhere else. I'm so furious. I'm absolutely livid. We agreed to explore the mortal realm together, yet he turned around and abandoned me." The Titan Giant Ape scratched his head and asked, "Tang Wadong, what exactly is the background of this fellow you speak of? How dare he leave you all by yourself?" Tang Wadong gritted her teeth and replied, "His name is Li Changsheng. He is the son of Uncle Z and Aunt Lu." The Titan Giant Ape was stunned. "Uncle Purple and Auntie Green? Who are they?" Tang Wadong remarked, "Who else could it be? Naturally, the god of destruction and the goddess of life." The Titan Giant Ape and the Azure Bull Python exchanged glances. The son of the god of destruction and the goddess of life. The direct offspring of two god kings. That identity is certainly enough to command the scene. The Azure Bull Python pressed further. "Then where did he go?" Tang Wadong said with a pout. He said he wanted to wander around alone for a while first, to get familiar with the environment of the Douluo continent. He told me to wait for him at the Clear Sky sect. Once I find him, I will definitely give him a piece of my mind. Meanwhile, after shaking off Tang Wadong, you were in a good mood. It wasn't easy to finally make a trip to the Douluo continent. Naturally, you wouldn't want to drag Tang Wadong around with you everywhere. Tang Wadong is under the protection of Tang San's divine consciousness. Plus, she has the Azure Bull Python and the Titan Giant Ape looking after her. Nothing is likely to go wrong unless Tang Sen himself has orchestrated something. Those two alone are more than enough to suppress most troubles across the Douluo continent. You traveled through the mountains and forests, moving with ease and freedom. But before long, you realized a problem had arisen. To shake off Tang Wadong, you used a sliver of God King power to alter your landing point. Tang Wadong headed to the Haoshan sect, but you have no idea where you've landed. You have been walking for an hour, surrounded by nothing but dense forests and mountain ranges. It is impossible to tell which way is which. You come to a halt, gazing at the desolate, uninhabited wilderness, your mouth twitching in disbelief. You've got to be kidding me. Where on earth am I? You are the son of the God King. wielding the powers of destruction and life, carrying to super divine artifacts with you. Yet you get hopelessly lost on your very first descent to the mortal realm. You randomly picked a direction and continued forward. After walking for a while longer, the dense forest began to thin out. In the distance, a massive city appeared at the edge of the horizon. A colossal plaque hung above the city gates. 3 large characters stood out, clear and striking. Heaven-Do City. Once inside Heaven-Do City, the streets were bustling with activity. With countless shops. Soul guidance devices could be seen everywhere. Elixirs, medicinal herbs, weaponry, and all sorts of shops stood side by side. Compared to 10,000 years ago, this city was clearly far more prosperous. Today, Heaven-Do City is backed by the protection of the Body Sect. The Body Sect stands at the pinnacle of this era. Their sect master is a peak level 98 titled Douluo. You are walking down the street when you suddenly come to a halt. No, I've forgotten something major. You are the biological child of the god of destruction and the goddess of life. You possess divine bloodlines. You hold the scepter of destruction and the ancient tree of life. Yet, you possess no martial soul. What's more troublesome is that the spirit hall is already 10,000 years ago. Commoners could still awaken their martial souls for free at the age of 6. If you want to awaken yours, you must seek the spirit hall or a private spirit master and pay them to perform the ritual. The problem is, you have no money. Having just arrived in the Douluo continent, penniless. As you stand in the middle of the bustling street, racking your brain for a solution, you catch a glimpse of a golden-haired girl at the corner of the street. She appeared to be around 10 years old, dressed in a simple, golden short skirt. Her long golden hair cascaded down behind her shoulders with delicate, refined features, eyes as clear as crystal. She stood quietly beside the vegetable stall. At just a single glance, you recognized her, Jiang Nannan, one of the future Shrek's 7 devils, the soft-boned Douluo. Your eyes light up. The opportunity has finally arrived. You walk toward the vegetable stall. Jiang Nannan sees you approaching. She immediately perks up and greets you with a gentle smile. Young master, is there anything you'd like to buy? Feel free to take a look around. These vegetables were all picked just this morning. They are incredibly fresh, without a single trace of withering. You stand before the vegetable stall, yet your eyes aren't on the produce. You are only looking at him. Jiang Nannan feels a bit uneasy under your gaze. She raises a hand to touch her face and asks softly, "What is it?" Young master, is there something on my face? You shake your head and ask directly, "It's nothing. I just wanted to ask, do you have any money on you?" Hearing this, Jiang Nannan is stunned. He gazed at you for a long moment before whispering, "Young master, have you perhaps made a mistake? I am a vegetable vendor, not a customer looking to buy. Usually, it is the customers who bring money to buy my produce. Why would you ask if I have money on me?" With a serious expression, you retorted, "Then tell me, what is your purpose in setting up a stall to sell vegetables?" Jiang Nannan fell silent. A moment later, she pressed her lips together. She whispered softly, "My mother is suffering from a grave illness. She has been bedridden for years. It takes a fortune to pay for her medicine and consultations. Our home has long been stripped bare of everything, with no other means of survival. I have no choice but to forage for wild vegetables on the mountain, selling them at the market to save money for her treatment." Hearing this, you nodded and asked, "So, do you have any money on you?" Jiang Nannan frowned and asked, "What does that have to do with whether I have money or not?" "It has everything to do with it. If you have the money, I can step in and help you, curing your mother's chronic illness once and for all." Jiang Nannan's pupils constricted. She looked at you instinctively, her eyes filled with disbelief. All these years, for the sake of her mother's illness, I've scoured every apothecary, large and small, in Heaven-Do City, and even consulted low-level healing-type spirit masters. But they all say his mother's illness is too deeply rooted, that she can only be sustained by medicine, with no hope of a complete cure. You look so young standing there, yet you suddenly claim you can heal his mother. It's hard for anyone to believe that. Jiang Nannan shook her head gently, her voice weary as she spoke. "Little brother, please stop teasing your big sister. My mother's illness is something even professional spirit masters are helpless against. We can only barely sustain her with medicine. You are still young, so it's only natural you don't understand these things. Big sister needs to hurry and finish selling these vegetables, so I can go back and brew medicine for mother. I really don't have the time to play around with you." You asked calmly in return, "Do you think I'm joking with you?" As you spoke, you raised your right hand. A jade green radiance bloomed from your palm. A gentle, pure, and vast aura of life began to diffuse. That was no ordinary soul power, nor was it any healing soul skill from the Douluo continent. That was the primordial power of life itself. The jade light fell upon the vegetable stall. The already fresh vegetables became even more crisp and vibrant. Jiang Nannan, who was standing closest, a wave of warmth enveloped her deeply. The exhaustion and soreness from days of travel dissipated instantly. Jiang Nannan was completely stunned, staring at the emerald radiance in your palm. Her breath hitched. She had seen spirit masters unleash their spirit skills, but never had she witnessed such purity, such immense life force. The spirit power of an ordinary healing type could only barely alleviate injuries and illnesses, yet the mere trace of aura emanating from your palm was enough to dispel the exhaustion from her body and nourish her meridians. She finally understood that you were not joking, that you truly had the potential to heal her mother. You looked at him and said in a calm tone, "If you trust me, I shall make an attempt to cure your mother. If not, I shall turn and leave this instant. You and I shall have no further connection. The opportunity lies right before you." Jiang Nannan lowered her head, her fingertips trembling ever so slightly. On one side, the despair of years spent seeking a cure in vain. On the other, the divine life force in your palm, capable of changing everything. A moment later, Jiang Nannan looked up abruptly, her gaze firm as she spoke. "Very well, I trust you. As long as you can cure my mother's illness, no matter what reward you desire, I will grant it to you. I will give you anything you ask for." After saying this, he quickly packed his things. "Little brother, I'll take you home." You followed him through the long streets, venturing into the secluded old district of Heaven-Do City. The bustling shops gradually faded away, replaced by low, dilapidated adobe houses huddled in narrow alleys. This is the residential area for commoners. It is also where Jiang Nannan and her mother rely on each other to survive. At the very end of the alley, a dilapidated little courtyard appeared before their eyes. Jiang Nannan pushed open the wooden door. Her fingertips tightened. She said softly, "I'm sorry, little brother. My home is far too humble and destitute. I've wronged you. Please bear with it." You said with a calm expression, "It is nothing. I do not concern myself with such worldly possessions. Let us first go and check on your mother's condition." Jiang Nannan nodded and led you into the inner bedroom. The room was cramped and dim. On an old, weathered wooden bed lay a woman with a sallow complexion, her presence fading and weak. Her breathing was barely audible. Her chest rose and fell with slow, labored breaths. Pushed to the very brink of collapse by her illness. This woman was Jiang Nannan's only living relative. Years of overwork had left Mother Jiang frail and sickly, compounded by the lingering corruption of a frigid. Her internal organs had all suffered severe damage. Many healing-type spirit masters in the city had examined her, yet they could only manage to sustain her fragile life, utterly unable to provide a lasting cure, to prolong her mother's life. Jiang Nannan could only set up a stall to sell vegetables, taking on odd jobs everywhere, spending every cent on medicine. She clearly possessed an innate soul power of rank 8, with a soft-boned rabbit martial soul awakened. A rare talent indeed. Yet she was cruelly shackled by the harsh reality. Jiang Nannan walked to the bedside, clasping her mother's icy hand, her voice trembling. "Mother, I brought a little brother here. He says he can cure your illness." Mother Jiang struggled to open her eyes, seeing that you were merely a youth. Her parched lips moved slightly, yet she could not utter a word. He simply shook his head gently. He did not believe it and feared even more that his daughter would be disappointed once again, and spoke directly. "Step aside a little. Do not disturb the flow of divine power." Jiang Nannan immediately retreated to the bedside. Holding her breath, she stared at you intently. You raised your right hand. A pale green halo blossomed from your palm. The divine power of life spread outwards, instantly dispelling the heavy aura of sickness in the room. Wisps of green radiance descended upon Mother Jiang, seeping through her pores. The energy surged into her meridians. Mother Jiang's once faint and labored breathing soon steadied. The sallow complexion gradually regained its healthy glow. The lingering, frigid toxins entrenched within her internal organs were swiftly dispersed by the divine power of life. Her damaged organs were restored. Her obstructed meridians were cleared, and her withered vitality was replenished throughout her body. In a mere few breaths, Mother Jiang's tightly furrowed brows finally smoothed out. Her entire aura stabilized. As the final wisp of green radiance merged into her body, you withdrew your hand. Hearing this, Jiang Nannan froze in place. She stared blankly at her mother on the bed. The person who was gasping for breath just a moment ago now had a rosy complexion, and her breathing was steady. There was no longer the slightest trace of her grave illness. The terminal illness that has tormented them for years has been cured by you so effortlessly. Jiang Nannan's eyes instantly welled up with tears. The grievances of seeking medical help in vain all these years. The exhaustion from running about day and night. And the cold shoulders endured just to afford
Everything
medicine.
came rushing back in this very moment.
She turned her head to look at you, tears streaming down her face continuously. Jiang Nannan bowed deeply before you. I choking back sobs. Thank you, truly. Thank you. By saving my mother, you have effectively saved my life. I once said that as long as you could heal my mother, I would give you anything you desired. He looked at him, his tone remaining calm. Think nothing of it. This was merely a transaction for you. Saving Jiang Nannan's mother was merely a trivial act. But you are well aware that from this very moment, Jiang Nannan's original destiny has been rewritten. In her original fate, to save her mother, she would have traded herself for the Xuanwu divine pill of the Xuanming sect. It was not forced upon her, yet it remained the heaviest shadow of her youth. She is not one who covets wealth or status. He only ever wanted to save his mother. That is why you came. As for awakening your martial soul, you certainly don't have to rely solely on it. You possess the scepter of destruction and the ancient tree of life. Finding a way is not truly difficult. At the very least, you could go to the Clear Sky sect and seek out Tang Watang. But now a path has just opened up through Jiang Nannan. Upon hearing the word transaction, Jiang Nannan hurriedly reached into the pocket of her close-fitting coarse cloth pouch from his pocket. He untied the knot. He poured all the coins inside onto his palm. There were only a few dozen copper soul coins. This was everything he had saved up. Bit by bit, from selling vegetables at his stall every day. Jiang Nannan held the money out with both hands, her voice filled with guilt as the coins clinked. Young master, this is all the money I have for now. If it is not enough, could you please spare me a little time? I will go to the market stall every day from now on, gather more wild herbs from the mountains, and work myself to the bone to earn money. As soon as I have enough, I will pay you back immediately. You looked down at the meager coins in his palm and asked, is this pittance enough to hire a spirit master to awaken a martial soul? Jiang Nannan was stunned. In the current Havendo city, to hire a spirit master for a martial soul awakening, it costs at least 1 gold soul coin. 1 gold soul coin is equivalent to 100 copper soul coins. The few dozen copper soul coins in his hand are simply not enough. But what truly shocked him wasn't the money. It was the fact that you possess such potent life force. Yet you haven't even awakened your martial soul. Jiang Nannan hesitated for a moment and asked softly, is something wrong? Nothing at all. It's just that I have a question I'd like to ask you. You possess such powerful and miraculous strength. You were even able to cure my mother's chronic illness of many years in an instant. How is it possible that you still haven't awakened your martial soul? You replied with calm composure, I have not yet awakened it. Jiang Nannan fell silent. She could not fathom it. Yet she did not press you for your secrets. After a moment, she bit her lip gently and said, I do happen to know a spirit master. And he is a kind-hearted man. He was an old acquaintance of my mother. He has a very kind heart. Back then, he helped me awaken my martial soul for free. He is not like those private spirit masters who demand exorbitant fees. He is a man of honor and righteousness. Perhaps he would be willing to help you at once. Your eyes lit up. As long as there is someone to help, you immediately said, that would be wonderful. Take me there immediately. After saying that, you raised your hand and pushed the copper soul coins in his palm back to him. Nannan carefully tucked away the coin purse. She glanced back at the bedroom one last time. Mother Jiang had already fallen into a deep slumber. Her breathing was steady. Her complexion looked rosy, guided by Jiang Nannan. You traversed several streets and alleys and soon arrived at a quiet little courtyard. Jiang Nannan pushed the door open and beside the stone table in the courtyard sat a middle-aged man dressed in a cyan robe. His features were gentle, and his aura was steady and composed. This man was named Zhou Kun, a moderately famous commoner spirit master in Havendo City. He was a peak level 58 spirit king, just one step away from becoming a spirit emperor. Zhou Kun looked up, caught sight of Jiang Nannan, and smiled. Nannan, what brings you here to see me today? Is there something on your mind? Jiang Nannan stepped forward and bowed respectfully. She said earnestly, Uncle Zhou Kun, I have come today to ask for your help with a small favor. I wonder if it would be convenient for you. Zhou Kun set down his teacup and said, let's hear it. As long as it is within my power, it will be no problem at all. Jiang Nannan pointed at you and said, this friend of mine has yet to awaken his martial soul. Sir, you are such a kind-hearted man. Could I trouble you to help him awaken his martial soul? The smile on Zhou Kun's face faltered slightly. He looked at you, his gaze visibly shifting. You are not very old, and there is no outward fluctuation of spirit power from you. Yet your aura is truly extraordinary, upright, calm, and transcendent. He looks nothing like an ordinary youth. Zhou Kun asked in a deep voice, Nannan, when did you meet this friend of yours? How come I've never heard of him before? Jiang Nannan replied truthfully. Uncle Joe, I just met him moments ago. My mother has been bedridden for years. And despite seeking out countless physicians and spirit masters, you know this yourself, could offer a cure. It was he who just cured my mother's long-standing ailment. I have no way to repay him. Learning that he has yet to awaken his martial soul, I thought I would bring him to trouble you, hoping you could assist him this once. Jokun's eyes widened in shock as he said, cured your mother's chronic illness. He was well aware of Mother Jiang's condition. That was a deep-seated ailment of many years. With her internal organs failing, vitality and blood have withered away. Even for a spirit emperor or spirit saint level type spirit master, it would be difficult to cure completely. But Jiang Nannan would never lie about such a matter. In other words, this young boy before me, who has yet to awaken his martial soul, has truly accomplished it. Jokun looked at you, his heart filled with even deeper suspicion. Jiang Nannan shook her head gently and said, I am not entirely sure of the origins of his abilities. These are his own innate powers. They are his personal secrets. It would not be appropriate for me to pry further. Jokun nodded in understanding. He ceased his questioning. Soon, he smiled and said, since he is your benefactor, Nannan, your uncle will naturally help with such a small favor. Having said that, Jokun walked to the center of the courtyard. He raised his hand and formed a seal. Spirit power surged forth, tracing a circle upon the ground to form a standard martial soul awakening array. Golden patterns began to glow, spreading a gentle halo of light. Jokun looked at you and said gently, child, step into the center of the array. With a calm expression, you slowly stepped into the heart of the awakening array.